It's going to be Team Liquid taking on LP. And Team Liquid are bringing up the rear of the table at the moment on 3 and 5 here in the Gold Team Championships. LP, on the other hand, 4 and 5. But they've looked pretty good. I was never really sure how good some of their players were. Omega0 was always fantastic. Xhope was always at least good. Trunks used to not impress me particularly. But Trunks has been a revelation to me in this tournament. I think he's played fantastic Hearthstone. Fr0zen, on the other hand, World Championship runner-up. He even had World Championship ticker tape on his head, but it didn't mean he'd won, unfortunately for him, as it was released early. Fr0zen has got the Demon Hunter, the Secret Rogue, the Galacron Priest, and the Egg Warrior. Today, Xhope has got the Egg Warrior. It's banned away. He's got Druid and the Plot Twist Warlock, Quest Warlock, and his own Demon Hunter. Both Warriors are banned, which means there's a chance of me seeing a Team Liquid player playing Priest. And we all know what happened last time. Bunny Hopper losing 3-2 in a way over 3-hour match to XHX, one of the best matches of Hearthstone of all time. Check that one out if you haven't seen it, even though I just spoiled the result. Still worth a watch. This might be a different state of affairs though. Fr0zen with the Demon Hunter into the Warlock. And the problem with the Warlock here is not got the Dark Skies, which is kind of everything about in the game. We'll see Fr0zen's play adjust accordingly, in fact. But the fact that Xhope has had to play a card from his hand is always a bad spot. It weakens the Dark Skies and just weakens the hand in general. It weakens the plot twists and so on. You do need the plot twist, the quest to complete. You do need the plot twists for that in this matchup. We saw Kalento mulligan the quest away in Grandmasters, but the problem is, if you don't get those 0 mana cards, you never have the swing turn, and Demon Hunter has enough card draw to just keep coming at you. This Kayn will make Fr0zen a lot happier. He's going to get the health on board over 10 at the end of this turn, and that means that Dark Skies alone cannot now clear the board. And there it is. Doesn't mean that the board can't be cleared. It definitely can. Use the Nether Breath and Coin and Dark Skies. Probably not in that order. Oh, he's got to think about it though. Yeah, this is good play. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But the chances are that Kayn was going to be left up. Like massively, overwhelmingly big odds. And so that's a big deal. And so you've got to take that leap of faith. You can't just think, oh, what happens if it goes... Well, you've got to think what happens if it goes wrong, but you've also got to be sensible about it. The chance of Kayn like not dying there was something astronomical. Well, not astronomical, but 10% or 5% or something. I really should get on the maths for that one, but it's tiny. Because every time Kayn is left with a 1 health minion on the other minions, it's a 50-50 obviously, and 5 health versus 1. Multiple times, but then there might be 2 or 3 minions. It's not the easiest thing to work out exactly, but it's in the 5 to 10% category. And Xhope just took that chance, and that gave him the option to see what he wanted to do. If it leaves up 2 minions, so be it. It's not like he's looking great in this game. Where he sat though, he looks like he's ridden out the storm to some degree. Can get these Abyssal Summoners down as of next turn. Interesting to see if he plays Zephyrus or not here. Interesting if he plays the Moag actually here. Whatever he plays can get shot down, but it does save him 5 health if he does it. But Zephyrus a better deal. If Fr0zen wants to kill that with the hero power, he's overkilling it by 3, wasting 3 damage in the process. So probably won't. Whereas if he plays the Moag, he's overkilling it by 1. Much more tempting proposition. However, Fr0zen did have that skull, as you see, that looked good from Xhope's side. But he started to stabilise. This is where the Warlock can just get into it. But Altruist and picking up another 0 mana card. Yeah. This is going to wipe everything out. And the amount of damage it actually pushes at the same... Yeah, Xhope started rolling his eyes there. It's like, yeah, okay, thanks. Thanks, Hearthstone gods. Fr0zen just working out exactly how he wants to do this. He just put the brakes on to think there for a second. But Bunny Hopper, he is not. And Xhope has gone from looking like he's going to win the game from his side of the board, getting that Abyssal down on a fairly safe looking board against Demon Hunter with a high health total, to, oh my goodness, what on earth do I do now? I'm going to lose, aren't I? But can still clear this all up with the Rain and the Mortal Coil alongside the Moarg. That gets rid of the board, but he needs that health gain. He might have to life tap here. He's going to die to the hero power and the weapon over 2 turns. And if he doesn't kill all the minions, he dies anyway. I think he may have to tap here and look for that second Nether Breath. This never gets there. Like, this was the first thing I mentioned, but this never gets there. He must have seen something that I wasn't thinking of there. Like he could gain 4 health, would that have been enough? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, he's not dead. But this seems ambitious. Maybe it's okay. Gets a taunt minion down next turn. Fr0zen's out of cards. Interesting to see if Fr0zen saves the last weapon charge or not. Because one of the minions will live and will represent lethal damage. He knows that Xhope's in trouble. So keeping the weapon charge back for emergencies seems wise here. Oh! And he draws the Nether Breath. What can he do, if anything, here? I mean, yeah, this. What could he do? The answer's obvious, unfortunately, for Xhope. Well, he's on 1. And actually, surely he can't stabilise on 1. Fr0zen may have to shoot the 4/6. If there's anything else he can do, like do nothing and just freeze the 4/6 as an option, and then see what happens next turn. He knows that Xhope's low on stuff. This is where having great vision of what your opponent has in hand can come in. Like going back through the last few turns, looking at how Xhope's removed your boards, and having a think about, does that mean that Xhope hasn't got anything? And this is superb vision. Fr0zen has worked this out, that this is an easy play if you can see both hands, but he can't. Well, Xhope can deal with it. And I'm just wondering if this is turning around. Fr0zen has a lot of outs. Even if he doesn't have lethal next turn, he does have a lot of outs available to him. Extra Twin Slice or Glavebound Adept, for instance, probably works with a second Glaives as well, just because he just smashes into the same things over and over again. That's 4 or 5 outs right there, and I'm sure there's plenty of others. Chaos Strike's probably a lethal. Yeah, it would be, because you would shoot face for 5. Then, yeah, I-Beam's another lethal because you get the 1 damage off the hero power. Xhope rolls his eyes again, but of the 13 cards left in Fr0zen's deck, or 14 as it was, I suspect at least half of them were immediate lethal. And did Xhope have lethal the next turn? I don't think so. Would have been quite close with the Malygos and the Soulfire, but I don't think it was lethal. So Fr0zen had 2 draws there to take that down. He goes 1-0 ahead. Interesting to see what Xhope takes here for his second deck. because he has the Druid and the Demon Hunter left. Yeah, and I was going to say, I don't think the Druid's favoured against basically anything here. I think this Druid's an absolute mess for Xhope against Fr0zen's lineup. So he does pick the 50-50, the Demon Hunter versus Demon Hunter. And interesting to see what people keep. Fr0zen's quite happy to keep the Overseer Twin Slice start. Xhope is the aggressor, but hasn't got anything aggressive. This might flip around quickly. The coin, having the coin as Demon Hunter in the mirror is a really bad deal usually. But if Fr0zen can flip the board on turns 2 and 3, it can look pretty good for him. But Xhope does have the Umberwing. Maybe he'll want the Watcher because his hand is so clunky. I don't like Sightless Watcher. It feels like a card that is really good in other card games, but in Hearthstone, manipulating your draw is good, obviously, but it's on an expense of playing a 3-2 for 2, which is actually quite a big expense. You're just throwing out an okay minion. And Demon Hunter can always kill a 3-2. Okay, obviously that's not true, but you know what I mean. If you work under the assumption, or at least when the mana for Twin Slice was 0, if you worked under the assumption that Demon Hunter could always kill a 2 health minion, you're almost never wrong. I made this mistake quite early on, and I messaged some friends about it and said, look, should I have played this 2 health minion, expect it to live? I don't know if I threw out an Altruist or something. I don't think so. Maybe it is Zephyr's play. Anyway, I threw out a 2 health minion and said, look, if it lives, I'll win the game. And the response was, wait, it just never lives. And when you start going through all the examples of how Demon Hunter going on turn 3, if you've got the coin, can or could back then kill a 2 health minion, it's just most of the deck. I mean, look at Xhope now, how he could kill a 2 health minion. He's not even had a good draw and he's got 3 cards that do it. So yeah, basically the short version is, back then they always could. Even now they still can quite often because Twin Slice for 1 mana would kill it. Post nerf. Xhope. Not playing the Umberwing. Which would be my preference to play it, but he wants to challenge the minion on board. I'd rather go wider with the 1/1s and sort of challenge Fr0zen to pick them off. And one of the weaknesses early, which obviously the Warglaives fills in for Demon Hunter, is it doesn't deal with wide boards very efficiently. I mean, it deals with everything efficiently, but not as efficiently as some of the other things it does. And Xhope's just, yeah, he's in pain, and I'm not surprised. He sees the funny side of it at the same time, but yeah, this is where I was talking about those wide boards. He hasn't even got the Warglaives, but even if he had, he's going to have to mess around for a turn killing another 4-2. And the other thing that happens in the mirror is when you start killing these 4-2s, it's not like a warrior killing a 4-2 and then waiting for its AoE and clearing the board, or a priest or something. Yeah, this is 4 damage to the face, and it's a race. And board control doesn't necessarily win you that race. Because let's say Xhope kills this board off now and takes 4 in the process. He doesn't, but let's say that's how this works out. We're down to 19 versus 24. Fr0zen will have the opportunity next turn to play the Umberwing, which represents a bit more damage, and Xhope would probably clear that up, get control of the board. But then you just, if you're Fr0zen, you just start throwing things at face. You know, Adept to face, because the Umberwing would be equipped 4 damage. Meta to face 5 damage, and Xhope just can't cope with that because he's lost his health tanking these 4-2s. He had to do it, but that's why he winced. Like, he knew that it meant he'd lost. So the one plan he has here really is to do a thing this turn that keeps him alive against a decent spread of hands from Fr0zen. He doesn't keep alive against this. Fr0zen has the Metamorphosis, the game is over. Probably. Do a thing this turn that keeps you alive. So freeze the opponent's face, for instance, kill off a 2-2, kill off a 1-1. Then next turn, play the Skull and play one of the cards to keep yourself alive again. Maybe get another Shadow Reaver. And then the turn after, Altruist and clear the board with the other 0-cost cards plus what you draw. That plan looks horrible because you have to draw low mana cards after the skull. So maybe he will look at something else. Play the Seti Overseer. That has to be dealt with. There really is nothing. I think so. He has to default to freezing the face, I think. Maybe he plays the Warglaives for mana efficiency. Honestly, whatever he does here, good luck. But yeah, I like this the best. I think this puts him on the Altruist plan, which gives him a process that you can invent that works. And again, he has to hope that Fr0zen's hand is a load of garbage. He's seen the Twin Slicers go, which is a nice thing to see go. Perhaps in some worlds, Fr0zen's hand is just nothing and he draws into nothing. Well, nice pickup, but no. Fr0zen on the edge of going 2-0 up, and this is not the 3-hour bunny hopper match from last week at all. Well, nothing keeps you alive on board, I don't think, here. Xhope. I guess technically he could bump into Kane and play the Adept. This is before people started playing 2-3 taunts in their deck as well. So I don't believe there's any outs here for Xhope that makes sense. He has to try and freeze like everything. I don't know. Those aren't the cards he was looking for though. This is one of those painful situations where we know it's over and Fr0zen just wishes he could just show Xhope the metamorphosis and move on to game 3. But he can't, so he has to do it this way. And it's 2-0. Team Liquid looking to get off the bottom of the table. I say that as if it's like a horrendous disaster there on the bottom of the table, but it's very, very close with teams congregating on 6 wins, and if they win this, that'll be 2 wins off the lead with a game still to play. Bottom 2 teams do not get to partake in the playoffs. That's the key information right now. The top 2, which is going to be a scramble, do get that first round bye. Alright, it's Druid time. One of the key things here for Fr0zen is to just count damage and get damage out there. And this is probably the only decision turn he'll get. He won't want to use the coin, he'll want to use that for the Warglaives, I would think. But if he does that, he doesn't get to... You don't want to play out your Battle Fiend when it's your only aggressive minion. So he may Battle Fiend and coin and buff it up. He won't leave it out there with 2 health. It's play it or wait a turn. And he plays it. And this is trusting the deck to fill in the gaps 2, 3 and 4. 2 doesn't matter too much. He'll only waste 1 mana if he doesn't draw well because he wants to attack and buff up that Battle Fiend. Then on turn 3, he'll probably have something better to do, but Vulpera Scoundrel is just another body on the board. And bodies on the board against Druid are just fine. Quite often get into the situation where you Warglaives down a Glowfly Swarm output on 5. You also sometimes just trade into 1 or 2 Glowflies to make sure the Savage Roar doesn't kill you and put the rest of the damage face. And just keep damaging the Druid. Obviously the clock is running. If the Druid gets to turn 7, they can play their Mount Seller, they can buff it up, give it Taunt. If you haven't got Kane, you lose. So that's Xhope's plan, is to get to 7 mana, which he's not doing a very good job of because he hasn't drawn any of his ramp. It's not really been his day, and this is horrible to see for him. This is a perfect pickup for Fr0zen. This Battle Fiend is going to do a lot of damage, and I'm curious to see next turn. Obviously it will depend on the draw. If Fr0zen rates buffing up the Battle Fiend permanently by attacking face more than playing the Scoundrel, I imagine he'll play the Scoundrel. Just because it's... Yeah, he'll play the Scoundrel because it's just more defense, I guess, against the Glowflies that also aren't there. Xhope's managed to just draw every card in his deck that does nothing. None of that conversation will ever be revealed though, because he draws Fantastic card for the job. Interesting that Xhope has chosen to not use any of his removal, like he could have picked off a 1-2 or something along the way here. Because he is going to get to the situation where his hand is full. And sure, you can't kill off the good stuff, but he can kill off some stuff. But by waiting, he's found a better target, and this is now pretty decent for him. Next turn will be glowflies, and there'll be a lot of them. Alright, so Fr0zen, whilst Altruist looks good, he would need a twin slice here. He's got the blur, that would do 1 damage to everything. That might be so tempting right now. Because then if he can pick up a 1-mana card next turn, and there's quite a few in there, he would have the opportunity to clear an entire glowfly swarm. And the other cards don't really do anything. Again, this is where he can use his great vision of just having a think about how things are going to work out. I like it because it also puts that there for later. Oh, he went for the choice I rarely take, the mystery choice, the random choice, and got Metamorphosis, which... Who am I to criticise that? I'm going to give him the credit for having done the maths there and realising that there's quite a lot of damage left and the other cards were rubbish. But he gave it a lot of due care and attention. So... Xhope isn't quite dead here, I don't think. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the first 3 from the Warglaives is 10. 3 other attacks from the Warglaives buffs up the Battle Fiend 3 more, that's 13. Okay, so playing down, and he's picked up Kane as well, so he's just going to win whatever. Playing down the Warglaives, kill off 3 of these, make the gigantic Battle Fiend, think about whether to kill the 4th one or go face, put your opponent below 5, and then next turn Metamorphosis their face. Looks like the most straightforward win. That would be a 3-0 for Fr0zen if he does that and it works. He's got to stop here. This is what I was wondering. Can he die to double Savage Roar is the question. The answer is yes. So he'll kill another minion. And actually just taking absolute care of this. I think the pickup of Kane made things so nice for him. We may see... In fact, we will see Innovate Overflow here, just to heal, really? Is there anything better than that? Because that sounds rubbish. He's dead to Hero Power Battle Fiend at the moment, that's 9. So getting rid of the 2-1, we're going to consider it irrelevant for how he does this turn. He can Moonfire it if he wants. He's got to think in advance, because obviously Moonfiring it first does at least give him more slots in his hand to play Overflow. What else can he do? What he wants to do is kill off the 7-6. He can Iron Bark a 3-2 Power the Wild? I mean, maybe that's the best play. Probably saves him more than 5 health and gives him a chance to do something next turn. It's just grim. Okay, so this play means that he'll get a Mount Seller most likely. He'll have 7 mana next turn, so he'll have all the reduced cost cards. And he didn't even get the Mount Seller, and then maybe get through from there. But the reality of the situation is that Fr0zen is 1 off lethal. It's 2 off lethal. Trying to find it. Hero Power attack is 1. 8 mana Battle Fiend, that puts 9. The Adept would be 4, that's 13. Or he can play Metamorphosis and shoot face. And go face with 7, that's 12. And you've still got 5 up. Is it not there? It's not there. So going for the second best plan, which is giving Xhope 2 problems. can you heal Xhope and can you block this thing all at once? And what we can see is that there's direct damage from hand available in 3 different ways as well. So Fr0zen looking good. We can also see that Xhope's had the worst druid draw ever. No ramp, no mount seller. I mean, there's ramp now, but it's been way too late. You're supposed to draw that stuff on curve. Having to Savage Roar just to clear this up. But how's he going to get out of range? Like, the part that's confusing me is the part where he gets over 5 health going into next turn because he's dead on board to the hero power, right? Okay. So Claw might be a thing, I guess? Yeah, Xhope's just had one of those days. Demon Hunter, we know it's strong. We haven't seen it go completely wild for a while. Fr0zen goes wild with it though, gets the 3-0 win, and Liquid are back to 4 and 5.